After leaving the theatre, something struck me about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. It isn't scary. And some might say that it's because of the PG-13 rating, or that FNAF just isn't scary. But I'd argue that its lack of scares comes down to the plot and filmmaking itself. Perhaps we've been desensitized to the sense of mystery and dread that existed in the first game, and that we aren't being shocked or surprised by the film's plot, because we know everything. But we don't know everything. Mike is largely a new character, a blank slate, and yet his story feels detached from the rest of the film. Unlike Michael Afton, the original Mike Schmidt, the film's Mike holds no connection to the animatronics, and his connection to William Afton feels uncomfortably bare bones and lackluster.
First I killed your brother, now I killed you.
We also don't really experience the Five Nights of Five Nights at Freddy's, and Mike spends most of his time sleeping during the night shift. There is no descent to chaos as the night shift grows ever more dangerous, with the animatronics becoming ever more bloodthirsty. I mean, the opposite actually happens. Most of the film is spent developing Mike's trauma and obsession with finding his brother's kidnapper, but the film doesn't connect this with the rest of the plot, and it seeps into the pacing and any attempt to build tension. In fact, the film fails to build any tension whatsoever. 40 minutes into the movie, the animatronics go on a killing spree in what appears as a classic horror trope. And it's great. We now anticipate a climax to this butchering, and yet we don't see anything like it for the rest of the film. The rest of the tension is, again, spent building Mike's trauma of losing his brother and the eventual Afton reveal. And because Afton doesn't pose a threat leading up to that point, the film simply relies on the audience's excitement of an anticipated character rather than a carefully constructed and convincing villain. We don't fear Afton because he isn't developed on screen as a child-murdering psychopath, even if we know he is one. There is a rule sometimes used in great horror films: don't show the monster. And though we don't actually see Afton as the villain until the film's climax, his presence is not felt, and his reveal is a payoff to nothing. What we see continuously is the animatronics. And though the design of the animatronics was a fantastic achievement worthy of showing off, their absence could have helped to build tension and dread within the viewer. And the film spends some time humanizing the animatronics, building them up as the tortured dead children that they are. And even if I largely appreciate this, it conveys a feeling of whiplash when the animatronics just stop posing a threat halfway into the film. It just feels rushed. Rather than each night becoming more intense as the nights progress, the animatronics become friends and we spend our time dancing and building forts. The film also loses something else: its relationship with the viewer, which is drastically different from the relationship with the player in the games. The player is an active participant, whereas the viewer is simply an observer.
No longer a passenger, but an active participant.
Horror films do benefit from ambiguity, and I think that the film would have largely benefited from adapting the cryptic storytelling found in the games, leaving the audience in the dark to piece the grander story together themselves. It would provide a sense of dread, rather than having Vanessa exposition dump the entire story, and then leaving clues only for the most dedicated of fans. What made Five Nights at Freddy's so intriguing to begin with was the sense of community and uncertainty found in solving the mystery, and I think that the film missed an opportunity to give a wave of new fans that same feeling.